Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of the Class 4 podcast. I'm your host, Derek.
Hey, everyone. It's Kate. I hope you're doing well.
So first off, we're going to get into some of the stuff that's coming up real soon. We have our first pilgrimage meet and greet, April 13th at Wordy Burger in South Royalton. That's our friend Jason Morrow who owns that. Amazing food, incredible Vermont taps. So come out from noon to 2 right in South Royalton at the Wordy Burger, meet and greet for everyone to be able to hang out, see others' rigs, and just have a wonderful time, get together, and meet fellow pilgrims and do that. After that, we have our first trail cleanup on May 18th, Saturday, May 18th. We'll be giving away free trail trash bags, and people can dump their trash here at the house. We'll take it to the transfer station. We're trying to organize people in small groups of like 3 or 4 to each go out and do a town. And then afterwards, we'll be doing a cookout and bonfire here at the house in Reading. And if anyone would like to stay over, they're welcome to as our guests. You also have something going on the 18th, don't you?
Yeah, it's the first ladies wheeling event, which is going to be awesome. There's about 6 of us going so far. Anybody wants to shoot me a message and get added to the ladies chat, please do that. We're going to be basically meeting at 10 a.m. at the South Woodstock store to provision. We're going to be doing greens to start off, so everybody has a lot of fun and gets a nice comfort level. And then after that, we're going to be, out on the trails, grabbing a bite to eat with what we've got from the South Woodstock store. And then maybe a bit more wheeling. We'll see how everybody feels. And then we could either come back and relax at the house. And anybody wants to camp, as Derek said, with anybody else who's doing Derek's cleanup event, then we can all have a few beers and chill out around the fire pit in the evening. I think it's going to be really great.
And it's kid and dog friendly and spouse friendly.
Yeah, and everyone's welcome.
Everyone's welcome.
You don't have to, just be a woman on your own wheeling, but if you want to do that and get away from your family for a bit, do that.
We have room in the vehicles if you want to come up and ride passenger. If you want to see what it's like and come up and ride passenger, it's a great opportunity to go out and see. And this is, when we say greens, this is completely stock friendly. I mean, any SUV on completely street tires can do the greens, fully inflated, 0 questions asked, with no risk of recovery or anything like that. So it's a great time to get out and really nice trails covering some history and doing some distance.
And also, I have a great, really capable rig. So if someone's never done it before and they're really not quite certain and they want to drive my Range Rover, I'm happy to give them some pointers. And it's an automatic, right? So there's no challenge there. It's not a stick or anything. So, if you want some pointers and you want to, see if you like it, then just shoot me a message and I'm happy to, you can drive my car. I'm not worried about it.
That's awesome. Other thing you guys get going for your ladies group is talking about the invitation.
OEX. Very exciting. So Hugh, our oldest son, some of you know him from the pilgrimage. He always goes out with the OEX guys.
The Overland Experts guys.
Yeah, he's too cool to ride with his parents, obviously. But he goes out with them, and he's basically a walking encyclopedia of maps. He's really good at navigating.
Never mind, he has more recovery training than most of the people I go out, and he doesn't even have his license yet. So Overland Experts are the premier trainers for fundamentals, winch recovery. They do everything from training America's Tier 1 Special Forces to power companies, utility companies, all the way on down to basic, just people looking to learn fundamentals. And they've extended an invitation to your Lady Wheeler group.
Yeah, to my Lady Wheeler group. Now, this is going to be free of charge.
For anyone for all the ladies signed up for the pilgrimage. For all the ladies
signed up for the pilgrimage.
Or Rover Revival, for that matter.
Or Rover Revival. And basically, we are going to they're going to tell us a date when they're available to do it. And we're all going to go down to the Connecticut, right?
Yeah,
Connecticut-based.
They have an incredible training facility in Connecticut. I went last year on just a fun day with them. And just in the day where they were out training the trainer, I learned so much and screwed up so much and learned from that. Awesome facility. They have a great local store to get some incredible sandwiches. But these are the best instructors in the world. And they are really excited to start working with, I think, probably going to be a new the biggest expanding group in overlanding as so many more women are getting into it, especially as all these new SUVs are hitting the market. Everything from the new
Yeah, they're
Forerunner,
so capable.
because
You just don't want to go to the, it's just that cliche of I'm going to do the school run and I got to go to grocery shop or whatever. But you can do so much more with your even stock vehicle. It's incredible.
yeah, and it's a cool social fun thing to do, and it's a family friendly thing. And go out and have
Bring the
fun
kids,
with ladies.
bring the dogs,
bring
you
the
know what?
spouses, whatever.
Yeah, I've got a spare, washer and dryer because you know what kids are like. They're going to get absolutely filthy. So you're welcome to,
when you're up
do
here,
laundry if you need to, because you'll bring 3 pairs of clothes for them, and they'll get all 3 soaking wet in about 20 minutes. So
yes,
I understand.
Plus, I know you've also want to start organizing some fly fishing in that group as well.
Yes, I love it.
We will be doing that out of the Woodstock Inn, the fly fishing. So if anyone's also interested in that, please message Kate. Mm-hmm. She is desperately looking for people to go fly fishing with.
Because we can wheel and have a really nice lunch on the trails, or we can wheel, go fly fishing, and sit on the bank and have a really nice lunch while we're doing that. So
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it would be really, really great to find some people who want to do that sort of stuff with. I had so much fun. I'd never fished out west before. We were in Aspen just over a year ago in March, and it was such good fun. It really, really was.
So I think let's get into the history side of it now. So do you want to cover what you're going to go over, or do you want me to start with the Agony Road?
No, I could start with the gold. There's so much here, as you all know. We live in Reading, and it was a really, really big town here before. In fact, you can wheel from the house down to Ramonto's Pizza in Bridgewater without going on any main roads. You can just go off-road the entire way. And in fact, we've done that before. But there was a lot of mining in Plymouth too, or Plymouth Five Corners. And some of the guys that were out there, particularly William Hankerson, he was probably the guy that came back from California in the summer of 1851 on the ship that was called Brother Jonathan. And by 1855, the end of that year, he was employing a few men and gathering from $7 to $25 worth of gold a day. And this gold that he thought was about 1 or 2 miles wide, this kind of line of gold. They thought it was like this Appalachian line that ran through the mountains and actually went through that part of town. And he mined there it was a place called Broad Brook, and he mined there for over 20 years. And had some success, but the quality of gold in Vermont is way higher than out west. It's incredibly pure. But they never really found an awful lot of it.
It was like 300 something ounces over a couple years. It was abysmal.
Yeah, there was a lot of investment, and probably
a lot of people made money.
Yes,
but
not from gold.
This is the other side of the story. A lot of people made money investing in the Vermont gold mine. Mainly the people who were running the Ponzi scheme out of the Vermont gold mine. There wasn't a lot of gold coming out of it. But we're sitting right down by our brook right now doing this podcast.
Right.
And this side of the ridge and mountains has no gold, whereas the other side is Buffalo Brook, all that stuff.
In Plymouth,
the Plymouth side, Bridgewater side is where they found gold. You still see people out there gold panning on a regular basis.
Definitely. And there was a thriving community out at Plymouth Five Corners. And if you're at the pilgrimage and you signed up for the pilgrimage, then you can also come on the gold tour. And we have a couple of other history tours too. But
we'll probably do a gold tour in between the pilgrimage and all that as well.
Yeah, probably. But what they used to do, it was had a hotel, and
it was a whole town. It was legit.
It was a massive town. It was a schoolhouse, everything. Yeah.
And it's just the fact. Vermonters never let anything go to waste. So when the town died out and the industry died out, I think the last person left in like 1920 or something
was the guy that he bought. Well, one guy, it was a guy called Henry Fox, and
the Fox Mine, yeah.
Yeah, the Fox Mine, but the name was changed, I think, to the Rook Mine because it was bought by someone else, but he hung around and really wanted it back so much that at the end of the season, the end of that time, he actually brought it back and renamed it. And unfortunately, he didn't find the gold that he wanted to, and he died a hermit and recluse, and he was buried in a pauper's grave.
Yeah. So I know our friend Doug, who, if you come out and do any of our history tours locally, you'll get to meet him. He's mined that area. Well, not mine. He's panned that area for probably like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And he's found just a little over an ounce. Which is still cool. He's found an ounce, and it's very pure, but it's not a lot for a lot of work.
What is cool, I thought, when I read, because of course Calvin Coolidge is the president who was
literally right up the road.
Vermont, it's up the road.
Which is another cool site.
He was a miner.
See.
He was a gold miner as a kid.
And they have the Calvin Coolidge site is very cool to see, and it's literally right up the road from a bunch of intersections of all the Class 4s. But that whole area, the mining around here in general, is pretty huge. We're working on. I'm doing a lot of diving into the history of mining in Vermont.
Well, there was a lot up in Stone. In fact, the river was renamed to Gold River.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it went that far north. That's really cool.
Yeah, apparently there was this vein of gold that ran, up the Appalachians, which is awesome. But it's just a shame there wasn't more of it.
Yeah, well, but imagine how different Vermont would have been had it had a gold rush like the Yukon or Alaska or California. It wouldn't be the place that it is now. To be fair, so it's in a way it's probably better, but because of all these towns, that's why the Class 4s are out there, because they're going to places that just don't exist anymore. And when we pass these cellar holes, and just in our local area, we have 3 different legit ghost towns that were full-on towns that just don't exist anymore, and that's just in the Reading, Plymouth area, which is crazy. Never mind if you get up into Bridgewater, there's a whole nother one that will get where all the men left for the Civil War, and they were all killed.
We were finding all
they were all killed in the Vermont
graves.
Regiment, and then the town failed because the women, after 20 years, decided it was better to move down out of the mountain into the actual town of Bridgewater. We'll do a story on that. It's a really interesting story, but mining was the economy with the sheep and the mills around here.
It was called Buffalo Brook. That's
Buffalo Brook is
in Plymouth, and in fact, you can still reach the Rooks Mine from Plymouth State Park. It's really interesting, and in fact, it was funny the other night. I was doing some research on this, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole, and I was watching a YouTube video, and Derek goes, Who's on that particular YouTube video? And I said, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. And Derek said, sounds familiar.
I know that voice. That's Mike Sandone of North American Overland. Who, side note, Mike builds some of the nicest Land Rover series trucks you will ever. He used to do a lot of Defenders, but the nicest series trucks that you will come across. An incredibly nice guy, but his passion is colonial mines, all that stuff. So if you ever get a chance, we'll put a link.
What's it called? No, we call in the UK we call it potholing, but here you call it.
I think it's spelunking is mine.
And I'm like, you made that up.
Well, you think the Americans would call it potholing, not the British. But Mike Sandone has an amazing YouTube channel. We'll put a link in it, covering all sorts of mines all over Connecticut, Vermont. And then he goes.
Oh, he was doing crazy stuff. He's literally got his, camera on his helmet, and he's got this miner's kind of light on it, and he's rappelling.
Oh, he's
into these mine shafts.
He does stuff way up into up by
braver than me.
Up into northern Canada, like the Bay of Fundy and all that stuff. Incredible stuff. We'll put a link to his channel because it's really interesting. If you're into the mining stuff, Mike's stuff is incredibly interesting, and it's cool because he's a fellow Rover guy and an incredibly nice person. Hopefully we'll see him at Rover Revival in the Pilgrimage. But right down the road, we also have our mine. We have a talc mine.
Yeah.
Which is famous not in good ways, because
it was the purest mine in the States.
It was the purest talc in all of the states. The problem was this mine was owned by a company called Johnson & Johnson.
Oops.
And if you look up the talc powder lawsuits, that is directly connected to the mine here in Reading, Vermont.
Yeah, it's just off 106.
It literally.
For those of you who know Bailey's Mills Road at the end where it meets 106 and the tavern used to be, if you turn left if you're going to Woodstock and you look through the trees to the right about 100 yards up the road, that's where the mine was.
And it goes 4 levels on the ground. It was a massive mine. It was huge.
It's dangerous. It's flooded. It's private property.
Yeah,
do not go there.
But
it's supposed to go way underground. Jerry, our neighbor, was saying it's supposed to go like miles and miles.
Yeah, I've never seen the map, but it goes back to 1800s.
I'd love to see it.
But when they were mining, they ran into asbestos deposits in addition to the talc, and decided the best way to deal with it was by not testing for the asbestos anymore.
Yeah.
And
doesn't seem like the right thing.
It definitely hurt a lot of people. But that was that mine. And then the other huge asbestos mines up in the Northeast Kingdom, which was where they were actually after the asbestos versus the talc. But it's just crazy that mining. Also, right behind our house, somewhere we haven't found on, what is it, Kai Mountain?
What?
There is a old colonial iron mine.
Is there? I didn't know that.
Doug Pierce was telling me about that. The mining was huge. They needed the materials.
Well, that's the thing. I remember Doug telling me that, I don't know whether it's like, so Mount Scottney lost her shit about, I don't know, 80 million years ago. And
I wasn't around for that.
According to my children, I actually was. And she pulled a Mount St. Helens, blew out the side of the mountain, and the last 3 things to come out of a volcano are iron, quartz, and gold. And I'm not sure if it's the weight of them or like atomic weight or whatever it is. Or anyway, that's the way it is. And you can see sometimes in the quartz, you can see gold in them. But there's an awful lot. I remember panning with Doug actually on that tour last year, and it was really fascinating and fun to do. But the one thing I was really struck by was how much iron was in.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of iron in the river.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
And when our stream, I mean, it's pretty high. It's more of a river now, I think, but it's kind of doubled in width. But because of the terrible flooding we've had last year across the whole state. But yeah, when the water goes down in the summer, you really do see where it's not flowing. You see the red of the iron ore.
But yeah, it's just crazy the amount of history that's around there from the mining. The other part that we want to cover today is a lot of you who drive around on these class 4s, just regular roads in Vermont, you're always wondering, where did this name come from? And a lot of times that name, like where it came from, is lost to time. But one of the cool class 4s near us, named Agony Hill Road, we actually found out the whole history on why and where it came from. Brave Little State podcast, Brave Little State on VPR covered it last year. And I knew a little bit about the story, but they went into more detail. So Agony Hill is here in Reading. It's an amazing class 4.
It's the next mountain over from Kai Mountain where our house is.
Yeah, and it was used to be a VOT challenge section. It's now newly a green. But anyways, there got its name from is back in the early 20s and possibly even earlier, there used to be a 100-mile horse race. And what it was is it was testing riders, but it was also testing the horses for the army to see when what horses the cavalry would buy. And Agony Hill was about the halfway point. And because it was so steep, it would generally, if a horse was going to break down, it was right around there.
Risk an injury.
Or risk an injury. And a lot of riders wouldn't take their horses up and would drop out of the competition.
Yeah, because it was the agony of...
It's the agony of defeat.
But making that decision for your horse...
Yep.
To not get injured and break a leg and have to be put down.
Yep.
Or continuing and something bad
definitely
happens.
A fair amount of horses were put down because of injuries on that hill. Green Mountain Horse Association continued on after doing the armies. After the armies kind of moved away from those type of competitions when World War II started coming around. But that was a very big thing here in the New England area, was horses for the Army because they'd get their horses relatively locally. And it's crazy thing that's also one of the funny roads that changes names 3 times in its length.
It does.
And definitely one of the roads that GPS tries to take people down.
Yes, it does.
And if you're starting at the
Don't
north
believe
end,
your GPS on agony.
if you're starting at the Malagash end, it's deceiving because it looks like it's doable, but it's not for the average vehicle. If you start at the Agony Hill part, you instantly turn onto it and you're like, nope, and then can turn around. It's it's a lot of fun, but it's crazy. That's where the name comes from that hill. It's pretty crazy to think that all these roads have meanings. Another one I'm researching pretty heavily is Chase Four Corners Road. And
no relation.
No relation. They spell it
that
with
we
an S.
know of. Could be a cousin of your dad's side.
We found the foundations, and we're doing more investigation into that. So it's definitely interesting stuff. But I think that pretty much is going to wrap up episode 10.
Yeah. So just to recap, ladies and families, if you want to come wheeling on May 18th, that's a Saturday. The Class 4s don't actually open up till the 15th. We're going to pre-run our route before we actually do it. And as I say, 10 a.m., South Woodstock store. We're going to provision, and then we're going to do some greens. It's not going to be anything terrible. That you don't have to have off-roading tires to be able to do it in a capable vehicle.
In a stock Defender, Rivian,
whatever,
Wrangler, whatever,
Jeep, whatever,
Tractor.
Tractor.
Tractor. Or Suzuki Samurai. I really want to see more Suzuki Samurais and Trackers and Geo Trackers at my event. But yeah. And then also, if you're not coming up for the ladies, I could really use your help in cleaning the Class 4 roads. Does a lot for the community. It helps Vermont. Just getting up here. And the other thing is, if you have chainsaws, we're going to be doing a lot of chainsawing because after all the flooding and windstorms,
a lot of trees down.
We're going to be doing a lot of cleanup. So please come on up. It'd really help us out. It's the first of our trail cleanup day or Class 4 cleanup days. And if you can come up, have a good time, and we'll organize you into different levels of groups. Whether you guys want to do the harder stuff or the easier stuff, I'll get you out because no one ever should be out there wheeling alone. And just go out, have some fun, bring some trash back, and then let's have a cookout and a bonfire.
Yeah, if you want to, camp that night, come and stay with us on our land. We'll get some fire pits going. It's going to be a lot of fun. And on a very personal note, I would like to say thank you to my children for sticking their feet in my face. So I was learning from
and you became your American citizen.
So last Friday, I officially became an American citizen and took my oath of allegiance. So I'm really happy about that and feel just really elated. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
That is awesome. Well, on that note, we'll end it. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.